Well, joining us now to discuss are Boom Bust co-host Ben Swan and Professor Richard Wolff, host of the Economic Update. Ben, let's start with you here. Now, we have Germany's new chancellor. He's facing criticism for staying silent at such a crucial time. So why do you think he is stepping up now? And is he trying too hard to keep everyone happy instead of really standing up for the interest of his own country?
Well, the difficult thing is that by trying to keep everyone happy, that's what he thinks he is doing, right? He's protecting the people in his country because you have a lot of pressure coming from the United States and NATO right now to really condemn Russia and to ratchet up tension with Russia. So it's not that the U.S. is working to calm things down as a third party. Instead, they seem to be the ones ratcheting it up. We see that all the time, especially from the comments being made by the president of Ukraine right now, who says it's the U.S. that's doing a lot of this in terms of creating a much bigger situation than what is actually happening on the ground there, using words like imminent and an imminent attack or an imminent invasion, which the White House has finally agreed to stop using that term. But I think in this case, what you have with Scholz is you have a chancellor who's in a position where he needs Russian gas. He needs to keep his relationship strong with Russia, but he also wants to keep the United States happy. And so you're trying to find the balance between those two things. I will say this, if you listen to how a lot of the European countries are looking at potential war with Russia or conflict with Russia, they are not excited about this idea. They are not pushing this idea forward. It is the United States, who geographically is much further away, that is causing a lot of this tension. And the countries, the closer you get to Russia, are less interested in some kind of armed conflict. They don't want it. And so I think Scholz is trying to balance that, keep the administration happy, use those terms like he used there about Russian aggression without actually making a commitment of soldiers or weapons moving towards Russia, because that only brings up tensions higher than they need to be.
And Professor Wolff, I know Ben just hit on this because the U.S. has spent years warning Europe will become too reliant on natural gas from Russia if the Nord Stream 2 pipeline is completed. So how much do you think that is actually playing into the current state of tensions? And do you find that to be an oversimplification of the issue?
I think I'd like to answer your second question first. Yeah, it is an oversimplification. Americans don't want to face certain realities here. The Trump administration, with very little opposition from the Democrats, told the Europeans that they don't matter, told the Europeans that the alliance with them doesn't matter, that the United States can and will go it alone wherever it needs to. He thumbed his nose. And the Europeans are also very mindful that the Chinese will be the biggest economy in the world by the end of this decade. The United States is not the overwhelming player it once was, and the Europeans know it. And they know that they have to accommodate it, and they're not in a mood to have some kind of conflagration with Russia, whom they're trying to build a good relationship with, in order to keep the United States happy about its waning global footprint. We have to understand that, or else we'll miscue here. The Europeans are disentangling from the United States. That is painful for the United States, but they shouldn't be surprised given what they've said and done in the past.
Absolutely. Now, Ben, at the same time, French President Macron is in Moscow meeting with Russian President Putin. What is the significance of that meeting, and is it likely to have impact on these ongoing tensions?
Well, I think it will have an impact, and I think it's extremely significant. It might be the most significant thing that's happened in the past couple of weeks on this issue. And the reason for that is because imagine this. You have a country like Russia that the United States is saying is on the verge of not just an invasion into Ukraine, but these ridiculous stories about there's a video that they're going to produce and they're going to create a false flag attack and trust us, this is going to happen. And everyone's saying, well, where's the evidence? Well, we don't have the evidence, right? And so while all that's happening, the French president, Emmanuel Macron, is doing a very smart thing. He's going to Moscow and he's talking to Putin. He's talking to the Russians. That's very significant because in the last couple of decades, what we've seen whenever there's a buildup to the idea of war, the first thing that the U.S. does is it says, we're going to cut off access to that leader. No one talk to them, right? And we're going to tell you all the things that they're doing and all the things that they've been saying and all the things they intend to do. That's been the claim. That's what happened with Iraq and Saddam Hussein. It's what happened with Libya and Gaddafi. It's what happened with Syria and Bashar al-Assad. That has been the playbook. And so in this case, it's very significant when a leader of a country like France goes to Moscow and sits down with the Russian president and says, let's talk, because now you're hearing from him whether or not these things are true and what are his intentions. I think it's very significant. And what I think it also shows is that the U.S. is not going to be able to steamroll other countries into joining this aggression against Russia and launching into a war with Russia as